Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Joining me today, it's Michael McCubbin, stepping in for Chris Hamill, who's taking a well-earned rest, and Patrick Van Straten, as usual. Today we are talking about the worst transfer windows in Europe. Obviously, we have to caveat that with the fact there's a few weeks to go in Europe, but it's still, transfer windows is the topic of the moment, so we thought we'd cover it. Sort of a progress report so far. And that's because Steve the Gamer has asked, which team in Europe's Big Five leagues has had the worst transfer window? Pato, you wanted to talk about Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern Munich's window, to me, the success of it hinged on who they got in the wide positions. And so far, the answer is nobody. Obviously, at the end of the season, they let Rafinha leave. He's gone back to Brazil. Robin and Ribery have left as well. And James Rodriguez, which I actually think is probably the biggest loss, has gone back to Real Madrid for the time being. Now, those guys obviously were less involved last season than they had been in any season previously, but they were still important contributors. Like, if your guys got injured, you do need just bodies on the bench, and Bayern don't really have those at the moment. They're going to start the season with a front three of Lewandowski, Gnabry and Coman, and that sounds not bad. But after that, you start thinking, is it Jan Fiete Arp, who they brought in, who's a 19-year-old forward? Is it Alphonso Davies, who I think, is he even 18 yet, who they got in from Canada? So I just think, to me, that's what I would have gone out and done immediately. Those are the moves that I would have tried to wrap up. And instead, what they've done is work on the defence. And their signings in defence are great. Lucas Hernandez, I think, is an excellent player. They massively overpaid, but I think he's an excellent player. Benjamin Pavard, on the other hand, I think they probably underpaid for him. He looks fantastic. And they look like they've got the personnel, really, for a back five. It looks like that's how they're going to play. Because you've got Alaba on the left, you've got Kimmich on the right, where you get some of his kind of midfield abilities as well as his defensive abilities. Then a back three of Hernandez, Süle and Pavard is really, really exciting, because both of those wide centre-backs have played as full-back as well.
Tasty, yeah.
However, Bayern's defence was great last season. It was really, really good. It was by far the best in Germany. In fact, I had it down, I think PSG aside, is the best in Europe's top five leagues. I think it was even ahead of Man City, genuinely. Which is staggering, really. And the places I'd look to upgrade are, how do we move on from Thiago one day? How do we move on from Lewandowski? How do we fill these wide spots?
Or Müller as well.
Well, Müller has been involved in, 19 goals in the last 3 seasons in the league, or scored 19 goals in the last 3 seasons in the league, which, don't get me wrong, I do think there's more to Müller than just his goal numbers. I think he's one of those players like Mkhitaryan, where I can see why he's frustrating, but actually you do often think the attack works a bit better, the spacing works better with him on the field, and he will work hard. But they just needed 1 or probably 2 lights-out attacking players. I'd have gone for a centre-forward, because it seems like they're being really arrogant about Timo Werner. It seems like their feeling with Timo Werner is, well, he's going to come here, so we can afford to wait and get him on a free, and it'll be funny if that doesn't happen. And they were obviously hoping for Leroy Sane, and the injury has put paid to that. So I don't know what they do now. If I were them, I'd probably go straight to Barcelona and say, what will you accept for Ousmane Dembele? Even a player, like, what can we give you for Ousmane Dembele? Because he's that guy. You know, he is the guy who could come in and really excel for them. But after that, you start seeing rumours like Felipe Coutinho. I don't think they're going to go back for James Rodriguez, obviously. But you look around and you start to feel like options are thin on the ground for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I suppose the one positive is the fact Tolisso is coming back from injury as well, which adds to sort of midfield depth. And Goretzka seemed to be, quite patchy last year, but had some good moments as well. So a midfield of him, Goretzka and Tolisso.
The midfield's good. The midfield is good. Like there's no doubt about it. But you just say Lewandowski gets injured in that attack. No. What do you do? Or say this is the season where Lewandowski had an amazing season last year, but actually underperformed. Like, his finishing was, I think he scored like 22 goals against an expectation of like 31 or something. It was nuts. So he had a sensational season last year, but he's not going to live forever. Like, he is going to decline. So if he declines or if he gets an injury, then suddenly you look at that team and you think, are we going to get past the quarterfinals? Are we even going to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League with Gnabry, Alphonso Davies and Coman playing up front? I don't think you are.
No.
I mean, that's why Sane would have been key, wouldn't it? Because Sane is fully capable of being able to take up the mantle in terms of at least compensating for the eventual loss of Lewandowski in terms of his goal output.
Yeah, you can imagine
from the left or right.
You can imagine Sane playing with Muller and then Muller being kind of the facilitator for Sane, and that would work because Sane's going to score enough goals. But
yeah, it's such a shame. Fantasy Premier League managers across the land crying, not least me.
Specifically,
He was in 2 of my drafts. I've had an absolute mare. But my Cubs, let's move on to another club in Inter Milan, who, controversially, it's really split the office. I actually think they've had a pretty good window so far, but it's been topical with Lukaku coming in and Icardi possibly leaving. What have you made of Inter Milan's business?
I actually don't think it's been too bad, but there are still some issues which they haven't addressed, I think, and they could still address them before the end of the window, although 72 mil on Lukaku feels like kind of maybe their last piece of business, doesn't it? Like, how much money do they actually have? They were really struggling to stump up the money for that deal. But I mean, they've made some decent signings. They've got Politano on a permanent. He was quite important for them last season. Barella, really big talent, 22-year-old in the centre of the park. He was averaging over 3 tackles and interceptions per game and 1.6 shots for Cagliari, which is pretty mental. And obviously Godin at the back as well. That, I guess, he kind of makes up for the loss of Miranda to who's gone to China. So there are some definite positives there. However, losing Raja Nainggolan or loaning Raja Nainggolan to Cagliari after a year. What did he arrive for? Like 40 million, was it last season?
Close to that.
Not, just doesn't reflect very well on their general kind of transfer strategy. And then they still have, they still haven't really invested in the wide areas, much like Bayern Munich, with the exception of Politano. Perisic is 30 now, and he's going to be relied upon
Draver hasn't
next
been
season.
moved on either.
Draver hasn't been moved on, but I think in particular, down that left side, Perisic definitely. There definitely should be a long-term replacement for Perisic there. Having said that, I think Lukaku is a good signing for them. Probably overpaid for him a bit, but I expect him to score at least 20 goals in Serie A next term.
But it just feels like that's not a problem for them. Like, I mean, obviously, it seems like Icardi's never going to play for them again. But you look at their team and you think, okay, you got Icardi and Lautaro Martinez in attack. Do I go and spend 70 mil on a striker? That seems so weird.
I suppose they probably just knew that Icardi had to leave.
But even still, I think they could have taken some punts on guys who can at least play wide. But maybe this is going to be. It seems like this is going to be a wing back situation, right? Because wing back wise, they've got a bunch of guys who can fit in there. They've got Asamoah, they've still got D'Ambrosio, they've got Dalbert who barely played, and
Lazaro they brought.
And then Lazaro's come in, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I think the Lukaku signings, considering just how reliant they have been on Icardi over the last 3 seasons, I think you can understand why they needed to go for, or they felt they needed to go for a big centre forward. But I think the team who I think probably have had a worse window is probably Lille in Ligue 1. In terms of the talent that they've lost, and again, I think more so than with Inter, that they do have a month now to really think and make some smart decisions, because I think they've brought in about £135 million. I'm not sure about what that is in euros, but they've brought in £135 million in sales this summer. I think they've only spent about 60. And you'd probably still expect them to turn a profit, but £50 million for a club in Liga, and I think they can, and they have a record of making very smart signings. So I expect they will improve, but obviously Nicola Pepe is a big loss. Rafael Leao is a big loss. Between them, they got over 40 goal involvements for Lille last season. So replacing that is non-impossible, I think. You can probably expect them to maybe drop out of the Champions League places if the signings they have made don't bang. Obviously, they brought in Timothy Weah from PSG, really talented, and I expect he will get 10 to 15 goal involvements at least this season, but there's just no guarantee. They've also brought in, I can't remember his name, I think it's Yakizi from Trabzonspor, an attacking midfield. But again, just no guarantees there. I think he's quite young as well. I think he's only like 22, 23.
I actually haven't heard of this guy.
But neither have I before seeing him. So it's just one of those things where they've brought in quite young talent. They've brought in a few older heads as well. Can't remember who they brought in from Rennes to make up for the the loss of Thiago Mendes to Lyon, but he's a good few years older. He gets a lot of tackles and interceptions, but again, it's just I don't know. It's a difficult one where you've had when you've had a season like Lille have under Gaultier in 18-19, obviously finishing second to PSG. Now they've got to prepare for a Champions League campaign and try and finish around the same. I just feel like this kind of summer, although they brought in great money for Pepe, I just feel like they're just set for a decline.
They do recruit well though, and and also on the plus side, like the players who are there are young. Like Timothy Ware is young. Like Jonathan Bamba was good last year. He's going to be a year older. Jonathan Ikone was 20 last year. Like you do have those guys, and you hope they can improve. But I mean, it does feel like they could have gone out and just like turned the Thiago Mendes money around on like Songare or someone. Like the Yusuf Kone, like to lose your nailed on first choice left back who was very good, to lose your most important midfielder, your most important attacker, and your best prospect all in one window. That requires serious investment to deal with, and it's kind of surprising that they've been so conservative.
And it's not like their second place campaign was, built on years of development. I mean, they had such an awful campaign the year before. You just don't want it to turn into a bit of a flash in the pan. But that sort of brings us on quite nicely to the team that I wanted to talk about, which I feel like we've talked about a few times, so I want to keep this relatively brief. But Lyon have had a pretty awful window in terms of outgoings. Obviously, Ndombele, Fekir, Ferland Mendy. These are three of their probably like top 5 players, I would argue. Mendy, unbelievable left back. I think that's such a good deal from Real Madrid. Long-term heir to Marcelo, just sorted instantly. Really good tackles and interceptions, great dribbler. And then Ndombele is just going to be such a loss in that midfield. The amount of ball progression he can do, his dribbling ability is pretty much second to none in Europe for central midfielders. I think he completed something like 69 of his 90 attempted dribbles last year. Neymar, obviously playing a lot less minutes, completed 75, so that gives a little bit of context on that. And then Fekir, bit of a down year last year, but I still think it was over 15 goal involvements. I lost him for 17 million. And then, the people they've brought in so far, Yusuf Kone, Thiago Mendes, who we talked about from Lille, really good defender, Thiago Mendes. I think it's close to 5 tackles and interceptions, very solid passer, but not the same dribbles or key passes as Ndombele. So it's going to be a bit of a loss there. But luckily, they've still got plenty of options in attack, I think. Depay, Traore, Moussa Dembele, Maxwell Cornet, who I've been sort of advocating for hopefully getting a few more minutes this campaign. And then a new manager at the helm as well. So this is, I think, the top of Ligue 1 from one down is going to be really interesting, I think, because Monaco have had a few issues in getting players in as well. I think I saw that they were linked with even Perisic quite recently, and Cedric Suarez as well. I don't think they've made too many permanent signings. And then Marseille under Andre Villas-Boas have had an awful pre-season as well. So it could potentially be really interesting. And then Rennes have obviously lost Ismail Assar, Nîmes have lost Teji Savanier. There's been quite a few interesting moves in sort of the top half of Ligue 1. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see. And then PSG have had a decidedly un-PSG style window, although I was seeing reports yesterday that they could be the front runners for Icardi.
Interesting.
Which I'm not quite sure how he works in that front line, to be honest. It's such a dynamic front line, even with Cavani. I'm not sure whether Icardi really suits him that well. So it's going to be fascinating. I mean, Pat, I know we haven't really talked about PSG, but do you think that their sort of more low-key window could stand them in better stead in the Champions League, or do you still think they might lose Neymar and it might sort of unravel?
I mean, they need to keep Neymar, basically, if they want to go far in the Champions League, even if it's just for this year. Though then again, at the end of this year, I'm not sure anyone would pay the money for him because he'll be 28, I think. I'm not sure if it's the fact that it's a low-key window that would help them in the Champions League, but certainly bringing in Gay and Herrera. They basically, there were 3 outstanding ball-winning central midfielders in the Premier League last season, and they've brought in 2 of them. The other one was Ndidi. So I just don't know how you get past that team. They might concede 5 goals in Ligue 1 this season. They've always got an incredible defence. They've added Abdou Diallo, and they've added Herrera and Gay in front of them, and I just think
Kimpembe's a year older, Kera's a year older as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really difficult screen to get through, especially with Verratti supplementing it. So, I don't know. I still think they need better fullbacks, and there were rumours that they wanted Danny Rose, and feasibly that option's still open. Though you'd imagine Spurs would say no now.
What was he doing turning up at Watford yesterday? What?
I don't know.
Mental.
I just think he wants to get out now. But like, they're
not
also
for
linked with
Watford.
Raf Guerrero as well. So I think if I were them, if I were PSG, I would be thinking, oh God, I really need a left back and a right back. But we forget how talented they are. Like, we forget that Neymar hasn't really been fit in the knockout stage of the Champions League the last couple of seasons. But if he plays, then you've got Mbappe and Neymar up front. You've got a midfield which, while not being necessarily exciting, Verratti aside, is extremely defensively capable and has good passes in it as well. And then you've got a defence which has been outrageous domestically and actually very good on the continent as well. So I don't know. I look at that side and I think there's a lot of potential here. Like Marquinhos even dropping back into the defence will help out. So and another year under Tuchel. So I kind of would like. There's a part of me that would always kind of like PSG to do well just to prove people wrong, because it annoys me how people think there's like this narrative about the club, and I just think they've just needed a better manager.
I suppose one potential area that they could look at, they obviously lost Buffon, who I don't think is the massive loss at his age, to be honest, but they've got Trapp and Areola, I think is their only two goalkeepers.
Trapp's been sold as well now.
Oh, is Trapp been sold as well? And apparently they keep on talking about Donnarumma as well, which I think would be a great long-term signing, but I'm not really sure whether he's a Champions League winning quality keeper at the moment. Whenever I've seen him, he flaps it quite a bit.
I think Areola's a perfectly fine goalkeeper. Like, I don't think Areola's not so bad that it would like break your chances of the Champions League. So I mean, I would go for fullbacks first and then think about Cavani replacement. Well, probably as a wide player, because clearly Mbappe is going to be a centre forward. So I don't know. I think I'm quietly quite confident about PSG. I would hate to want to score against them. That would be an awful thing to want to do.
And McCubbs, we can't have you here on Continental Club without briefly touching on Man United. Are you just devastated after the window yesterday? It just hasn't gone as planned, at least in attacking areas.
Not great. I mean, not great at all. I thought the way that the Lukaku deal was approached, I mean, ended up getting good money for him, but far too late. No replacement brought in, and I mean, into have a player in Marcelo Brozovic who would have been perfect for United's midfield. Surely there could have been a way rather than kind of dilly-dallying over the possibility of bringing Icardi in, which would have been a disaster. Not
great signing for United.
United's season could be relatively bleak. It just depends essentially whether young players can step up and injuries, because even though we've strengthened in certain areas, if anyone in that forward line gets an injury, there's basically no backup.
Likewise in the midfield as well, really.
And in the midfield as well. It's funny. It's funny that actually we're probably best stocked in defence at this moment in time. Not great, but Mason Greenwood. So
we'll move forward. Fair enough. A lot of confidence in Mason Greenwood. That is our roundup of transfer windows so far across Europe. Let's move on to Quickfire Questions. First quickfire question comes in from regular contributor Josh Davis. Thank you very much, mate. He says, signing of the summer in each of the major leagues across Europe. And this is obviously quite an undertaking to just throw on the boys, so I'll go first. I think in Germany, I think Torgan Hazard to Dortmund's really exciting. In Italy, maybe De Ligt to Juventus for long-term, what they needed. The Premier League signing of the summer, I've already said it on the podcast, which is coming out this Sunday, but I think it's Ndombele to Spurs. What are the other leagues? La Liga, maybe Ferland Mendy to Real Madrid, or De Jong to Barcelona is quite difficult to argue with as well. And then who's moved? In the French league, Teji Savonier's gone to Montpellier, and he looked like he's not really a prospect anymore. I think he's about 27, but he looked like a great player last year, so I'm looking forward to seeing whether he can replicate that. Guys, you don't probably have to go through all the leagues, but have you got any ones you want to pick out?
I think you've covered it quite well there. I do think Rodri to Man City is massively important to them in the long term. Always needed that Fernandinho replacement, and looks like they've got it, although he did mess up a couple of times in the second half against Liverpool in the Community Shield. But aside from that, on the ball, I thought he was excellent.
I suppose it will take him a while to find his feet, probably.
And I'm just trying to think, I mean, La Liga, it's hard to look past Frankie de Jong. I think Junior Firpo actually is an excellent signing for Barcelona as well. I think Alba will probably still be their number one next season, but I think Firpo has all the skills to be able to replace Alba in the long term. They've been calling out for that for a while. I'm not really sure. Atleti's business has been kind of
maybe
good
Marcus
and
Llorente,
straight.
I suppose. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does at least.
Yeah.
Pat, have you got any that you'd like to pick out?
Ooh, Abdou Diallo to PSG. I really like played left back a bunch last season, was amazing. Played centre back and was great. Like just a really good player. 23. Rabiot on a free to Juventus. I mean,
Keep on forgetting that deal happened.
I think Ndombele is amazing and De Jong's amazing, but in terms of actually like really proven in a top league, like
and value, I suppose.
Like
as well.
Rabiot is probably the best central midfielder who moved this summer, and they got him for nothing. So I mean, he's a nightmare, but he's an amazing player. So that's pretty exciting. What else? Oof. There have been some great signings all around. I mean, Cancelo for like 30 mil plus Danilo was perfect from Man City. That's a great move from them. So I don't know. I think there's been more sensible business this year than ever before. In fact, I think the issues have not been so much who clubs have bought, but who they haven't bought. You know, like with Man United, I think Wan-Bissaka is a sensational signing. The issue is that they didn't sign a midfielder or a right winger. You know, and the same goes for a bunch of different clubs. So I think that I actually also really like Alex Iwobi to Everton. I mean, I hate it. It's making me miserable. But I think Everton needed a guy who was a creator, who's much more defensively able and mobile than Gylfi Sigurdsson, because essentially Iwobi is kind of a number 10 who plays wide, and he will just defend from the front. And he's also just turned 23. And generally speaking, with forwards, the 23-year-old season is when you expect them to make a leap. And last season, over 0.5 expected goals and assists per 90 minutes. If he makes a leap up from there, he could be a really, really good signing for them, alongside people like Richarlison and Moise Kean. Though actually, on the downside for them, Ademola Lookman going to RB Leipzig, I think that's a good signing for Leipzig.
Yeah, that is a great signing. I kind of agree with you. I think Premier League's actually, their spending was not as big as in previous years, but I think lots of clubs used it much more wisely. I think West Ham's deals were really effective. They've upgraded on Arnautovic, they've upgraded in Fornals on effectively Lanzini in the long term. I think some of their deals was really good. And lots of other deals that it was quite satisfying, because having worked on Eurofootball Daily for a couple of years now, like people that we've talked about quite regularly on like scout reports and like players to look out for.
Sam Maximin,
Joe Linton, Sebastian Haller. It felt like people were, obviously they're not watching Eurofootball Daily, but like it felt like we were sort of getting stuff right. Lo Celso, and like it was just like a really exciting window. I thought Premier League clubs, lots of them did really well. The only ones that had, you know, pure shockers were probably Liverpool, Crystal Palace, and maybe actually United. It's impossible to call it a pure shocker, but I thought lots of good business. So final question, that was quite a long quickfire, Josh. You got your money's worth. Comes in from Captain Kirk. Thoughts on Koscielny to Bordeaux's reveal video? Pat, did this piss you off?
Oh, I didn't really give a like. I just don't really care that much. Like it's a bit douchey. Like I don't really understand the value of doing it. Like you're just going to annoy people, and I don't know, the upside of it is just people who are not Arsenal fans being like, and Arsenal fans going berserk, and I just don't really understand that. Like, but that kind of stuff never really bothers me. Like, I just don't get exercised about it. Like, players, they're not members of your family. They just play for your club. Like, I was more hurt by just Iwobi leaving than I was by Laurent Koscielny having a dig at the club. Like, the club deserves to have digs made at it. It's a stupid club.
Also, you don't know the inside story on what went on with the contract.
Well, yeah, he obviously felt that he'd been screwed over in some way. But I guess I also think you are in your mid-30s. Like, let's not be such a baby.
Yeah, no, it was a bit immature, I'd say, rather than anything.
Yeah, it's not
too
bad,
bad. McCubbs, any final thoughts on Koscielny? Are you going to miss him?
No, not really. I mean, I haven't really seen him all that much over the last few years, have we? So
true.
Yeah.
Probably still our best centre back last year.
Yeah.
Like, actually really good last year. So it's good that in the end, we basically swapped him and like a couple of youth players for David Luiz, which is fine.
Yeah, fair enough. Great window from Arsenal all round. But that's all we've got time for on Continental Club for this week. Thank you all of you for watching. Thanks for contributing. Please let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. McCubbs, what should they go and do now?
They should go to We Need to Talk on Football Daily.
Yes.
Go check out some of the Stat Wars, the league stuff, and go and check out a channel that's launching maybe today. I think as well.
Teaser.
Teaser. That's I don't know. There'll be a link in the description, I guess. Might have already seen it, but
Pat, anything else you want to add?
I'm good.
Nice. Thank you very much for watching. See you later. Bye.